Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to a more intimate video here late night on the channel. My name is Tom. Thanks for joining me. It is slightly unique. I got some new lights I'm trying out. I also got a director of photography to help me out from Los Angeles. I kind of texted him, messaged back and forth and said, hey, what do you think about nighttime shots with a cheapo camera? He's used to dealing with $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 cameras, and here I am throwing a variable on how to tune a $300 camera to do decent night shots. If it works, it works. If not, we'll go back to the drawing board. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me here this evening. I must admit that I knew that this day was going to come sooner than later. Actually, I would have assumed this to come, a day or two after I bought the vehicle. But suffice it to say, here we are, a month and 3 days later, after we took delivery of the 2023 Chevrolet Bolt EUV, and here we are. The Buyback saga continues. Guys, who would have thought? I'm laughing because I knew this was coming. So during the process of getting the trade-in information taken care of, there was a disclosure statement that had a mileage that was written into the spot for the old vehicle. So the old 2020 Premier that I left in Los Angeles, they got a number from somewhere. They didn't ask me for it, and I didn't really volunteer it because I wasn't sure what the process was at that time. Suffice it to say, fast forward to the actual signing process, and the sales manager hands me a stack of paperwork to sign. I sign it. I look at this odometer disclosure, and I'm thinking to myself, where did that number come from that's there? And he says, oh, GM filled it in, and that's what they want on that line. And I said, you do realize that it's the wrong odometer reading. I don't know what I'm signing here, but this is a false disclosure, right? The title of the document says odometer disclosure. Okay, well, I was already under enough duress that I decided to just sign it and move on. I figured if GM or the dealership filled out the paperwork incorrectly, it was on them to correct it. So fast forward 33 days, here we are. 33 days later, or 34 days later now, here we are, and GM caught the dealership in the lie. So I think the dealership disclosed the wrong information to General Motors, which is also weird because, let me take a step back. I'll walk you guys through. For those who already know this, you can skip forward a little bit, but essentially what happened was in June of 2022, I surrendered my 2020 Chevrolet Bolt EUV Premier to the dealership that I purchased it from in Los Angeles, specifically in Valencia, California. That dealership took possession of it. They did a walk around and they said, okay, we're done. They basically walked around the car, made sure there was no damage, and also they made sure that the EVSE for the level 1 charger was in the trunk as it was when the car was purchased. And the internet specialist that I worked with, she signed off on everything. She said, yeah, it's all here, everything's good to go. And basically it was a have a nice day. I show up, give them my keys, they walk around. They then took the Bolt EV and parked it someplace. And according to the My Chevrolet app, that Bolt EV is still parked in the same spot that it was 10 months ago, or whatever it's been since we left it there and moved here. Fast forward to February 13th when I go back to the dealership, and there's a video on that as well. Sign all the paperwork, and I tell these guys that the odometer disclosure is incorrect. And I think I even told the guy that it was 18,000 some odd miles on the old Bolt EV. And he said, oh, GM filled this out, and that's what they want to use. And I'm thinking to myself, why would General Motors want me to lie on a disclosure statement, such as an odometer disclosure statement? You know, not only does it affect the buyback financials, but also it affects just everything, because with vehicles, the odometer is king. You know, everything goes by how many miles are on the car, you know, and the quality of the car on the outside and inside, that's later, that's down the line in the sales process. So anyway, at the time, I feel like I think I even mentioned it to the salesperson that I dealt with, who was a good dude. I really liked him. And to the sales manager as well, or the business manager, or whatever he was. I told him, I said, I'm doing this under duress because I don't understand the process, and you guys are treating it as a trade-in, but I have nothing to give you. And he said, well, that's not a problem. Don't worry about it. That's for GM to sort out on their end. Okay. Again, I'm still, you know, I'm not a professional in this. I'm not a sales guy. I don't know. And I tell him, I said, listen, anything I sign here is under duress because I've been 9 months without a vehicle at that time. I am tired of spending thousands of dollars on rentals every time I need to do a job, or every time I need to go someplace that requires me to be away from my family for more than a few hours. I don't want to take my wife's car. I need to rent. I need to, you know, pay for that, and I don't have like a per diem, if you will. I don't have any of that. It's just me literally opening up my wallet, pulling out my credit card, and saying, "Here you go." And I did that a handful of times. You know, you guys may have seen the video that I did driving up to Washington, D.C. to NASA headquarters. That was on my dime. Literally all of it. But that's neither here nor there at this point. Suffice it to say, that paperwork was a mess. The whole thing was a mess. In fact, while I was there, they had to like shred some papers, get new papers. Somebody had to sign them. Oh, hold on, this is incorrect. Let me go get that fixed. And I'd literally be sitting there with a fidget spinner just going brrr, brrr. And fortunately, I didn't have my wife and son there with me, because if they would have been there, the kid would have torn down the dealership. He would have been so bored out of his mind. It took so long, many hours, to get through a stack of 24 or so pages. It's not as convoluted as it is in California. You know, California, they got this document that comes out of a dot matrix printer that's 6 feet long, and you're like initialing by the foot. Here, it was all, you know, it was all done in a way that made sense, like you could fit it into a standard filing cabinet. But also what I liked at the end was that he scanned it all in, put it on a flash drive, and handed me the flash drive. So my signatures, their signatures, everything was done. So today at 1:23 Eastern Time, so today is March 16th, it's still March 16th, I get this text message that I'm going to put up here on the screen for you guys, at least the beginning part of it. It goes on for a couple more sentences after what I show on the screen. It's got my address and stuff on there, so I'm not going to show the rest of it. But essentially, you guys can see towards the bottom the odometer statement for the trade and a power of attorney for the trade-in was incorrect or needed to be re-signed. So we did all that, but as I mentioned, the figures were incorrect. So now we have to go back and deal with this again. Now, further on down, I asked them, I said, so does this affect anything else on my side of things? Like, is there a danger that I might lose the vehicle or something? Or is there some way that the financials might change after GM notices that, oh my God, instead of 1,000 miles on the odometer disclosure, there's 18,000 miles. Like, are they going to add more usage fees to it? Because that was an agreement that I signed as well, that I accepted the terms of the buyback with the usage fee that they gave me, which I think was $6,000 or so dollars. I can't remember the exact dollar figure. Needless to say, I am again getting ready for bed. I'm finishing out a long day. I'm enjoying my wind chimes. I came out here, I brought you guys out here with me to kind of come down to another level. That's why I'm doing this whole like nighttime kind of nice mood, not over there by the light pole, but here on my deck, and essentially trying to get my brain into a better place because, you know, this week's been crazy. Tomorrow's Friday already. Who knows what's going to happen? Are they going to change the financials on me? That's my main concern. They told me they wouldn't take the car. Like, there's no reason for them to take the car. As long as I sign these documents and the trade-in is where I said it was, which if it's not, I don't know if I can be held accountable for that. Also, a problem is that I no longer have the old vehicle on my insurance policy. So, and just to give you a little bit of context on that, when I surrendered the vehicle, I made the decision for two reasons to keep that old vehicle on my insurance policy. For one, if something happened and there was a runaway and the battery caught fire, there'd be a policy covering that car, because I don't think that the dealership ever took official possession of it. Again, there was no paperwork. There was a handshake and me with my GoPro, literally walking around the car. And you guys can actually see that video as the internet specialist of that dealership literally drove the car away and parked it. So for two reasons, I kept insurance on it. For that, in case there was, you know, it was still under my name. Nobody had ever changed, you know, title or registration. And two, I was still paying on that car. So legally, I had to have insurance on the vehicle for the lender to be happy. So, and in some ways you can say three. The third reason was that I get a multi-car discount on my insurance policy if I cover more than one vehicle. And if I would have taken that Bolt EV off my insurance and only kept my wife's RAV4, then I would have increased my monthly insurance premiums by quite a bit. I think it would have been about $22 a month more to have only one car instead of multiple vehicles. So you can see that this is a pot of crap that I just don't want to deal with. I don't want to be anywhere near it. And I don't know why I didn't change my phone number after I did this transaction, because I just feel like there's so much that could have been done differently. And I feel like now more than ever, I wish that somebody from GM who actually cares about the customers and the experience and the overall way of the way that things happen over there, I would give money right now to sit down with somebody and tell them the story or show them this channel. Because if it would have been anybody else, this process would have probably driven them into the ground or caused them to find some other vice to get their stresses out. You know, when you're already in a lot of trouble mentally, because every day I have to deal with something, whether it's professional or personal or something, it wears your walls down really, really easily. And when your defenses come down, you're essentially vulnerable to depression, to panic attacks, to anxiety. And I've had all of it. I remember laying down in my bedroom here on the floor in tears, not able to explain to my wife what was going on, just because of how broken I was for not knowing what was what, and dealing with people who didn't care about me as a person, let alone as a customer. And even though I knew this day would come, that I would again be blessed by a text message from the dealership, or I don't know if GM's going to send me an email tomorrow or not. It doesn't really matter. The point is that even though I knew this day was coming, I'm still taking it like really, really hard, because the last thing I need is for me to sign off on a document that potentially changes my terms that I'll have to deal with for years to come, right? When you're financing a car, it's not just oh, here you go. It's no, here you go, plus 12 months, plus 12 months, plus 12 months, etc., etc. So I don't know. We'll just have to see how things go. I'm not going to really make a big deal about this any further until I have the paperwork in hand. The last couple of sentences on here said that they were going to overnight them to me this evening, which means they'll either get here tomorrow or the day after. I don't know how late overnight can get to you the next day, really, but it's not my dime, so I don't care. Yeah, it says here the ones we had you sign here at the dealership were not accepted by GM for whatever reason. Apparently, he doesn't remember what I told him, which I guess is fine. And now I have to get the forms overnighted to me, signed. I offered to have them emailed to me. I have the means to both digitally sign them, as well as I have a template with my actual signature on it that I can apply to PDFs. But nope, GM wants ink on the page. So ink on the page is what they'll get. I will keep you guys posted. We'll see what the document is, if it's the same exact document. Hopefully they'll have fixed the mileage on the disclosure statement. Excuse me. So the power of attorney was exactly what it should have been. It was me signing off the ability for a GM to negotiate on my behalf on that old vehicle, which, guess what? That's not going to change because it's still the same information. And for some reason, they didn't accept that. But all right, guys, that's it. I'm going to leave it off there. I'll bring you guys along when the paperwork arrives. We'll sign it. We'll sign it together. Maybe you guys can send me your signatures and we'll put them on the page. Maybe we'll do a petition of sorts. And we'll take the next steps as they come. So for now, thank you guys for joining me out here. I actually feel better talking to you guys about this. It's always nice to have somebody to talk to, and my wife and son are already asleep. Otherwise, I would wake them up and have this conversation with them. And Duchess, she doesn't care about the car, unfortunately, the way that I do. So anyway, that's it. You guys have a good evening, and I hope you guys have a great weekend ahead. Enjoy your Friday. For those who are affected by the storms, prayers go out to you guys. Stay safe, and go down in the comments, ask away any questions that you might have, any comments or concerns that you guys have. I'll be there to answer them. So for now, thank you for watching, and take care. Bye-bye.